Welcome back to German with John Berlin, and today we'll be doing some practice, the practice of what we have learned thus far. So previously we just saw how to identify the verbs with the help of cases. I have a table in front of us. What we need to do is put the respective verbs under the respective cases. I'll do a few for you, and you could refer the answer book and find out all of them. You'll get the idea as soon as I show you a few that what this exercise is all about. So the first column says nominative. In the last lesson, if you might remember, there are 4 German verbs which are nominative. So if we write those 4 nominative verbs here, this table would be complete. So the basic idea was a nominative verb has the same subject and the same object. Like I am called John Berlin. Called John Berlin, ich heiße John Berlin. So basically I and John Berlin is the same person. So the verb to be called, if you can recall, it's heißen. Yes, it can come under the category of nominative. Similarly, the verb to be, yes, I am John Berlin, again comes under this category. Yes, and also the different verbs like werden, I become a writer. It's also I and writer are the same person. Werden is also under this category. And last being I remain a writer, bleiben, will also come under this category since I and writer are the same person. So this column will just have 4 verbs, that is heißen, sein, werden, and bleiben. All the German verbs, you'll notice they end with en, except for one which we already wrote down, that is sein. Yes, perfect. So there are just a couple of exceptions. Otherwise, always en will be at the end of each German verb in its basic form. Perfect. So here are the 4 verbs. And what are the accusative verbs? Basically, accusative verbs are based on verbs which require 2 cases to make a sentence. For example, I meet you, like online, I meet you online. So the question is who meets whom? Yes, so it requires who, that is the person who's meeting, and whom the person meets. So basically a verb like who meets whom, to meet, will be an accusative verb. It requires 2 elements, 2 cases. So what is the verb to meet? It's treffen. Yes, so I have written treffen here. Also the verb like I visit you. Yes, let's say I visit you online. So again, the question is who visits whom, and the answer is basically the accusative verb because it requires 2 cases. So we could write here the verb to visit, besuchen. Yes, perfect. Then we could move forward and we could see verbs which are both accusative and dative, like I make a pizza. So I make a pizza, it'll be basically who makes what, who makes what. Yes, it again requires a person who makes something and what is being made. That kind of a verb will be accusative. But again, we can add another question. We can add who makes for whom what. I make for you a pizza. In that case, it'll become who makes what for whom. Yes, and the verb will also be written under dative. That means I can write here machen. Yes, so if you look at it, this is nominative verb, these are 2 accusative verbs, and this is an accusative dative verb. Yes, I wrote them in both the places. Now there are some other verbs which are accusative dative. For example, instead of machen, let's say the second verb could be I read a book. Yes, so I read a German book. The verb to read is lesen. So the question is who reads what? So the verb requires who, person reading, and what is being read. So it is accusative, but I can add the question for whom. Then it'll become I read for you a German book. So basically what will it become? It'll become dative. It'll require who, person reading, for whom it's being read, and what, the book. So I'll write here lesen. Yes, perfect. Now we'll move forward. There are some verbs which are completely originally dative. Yes, for example, I give to you a pizza. Yes, the example we did earlier. So who gives to whom what? The verb to give, which is geben in German, requires who, person who's giving, requires to whom something is being given, and what is being given. So it's a completely dative verb which requires at least 3 cases: who, to whom, and what. Yes, so it requires 3 cases. It's a completely dative verb. Yes, moving forward, there's another verb maybe which is dative. Let's say I recommend to you German with Joan Berlin to learn German. Yes, okay, so let's say who recommends to whom what. So it's basically the verb to recommend, which is empfehlen in German. It requires who, which is the person who's recommending. It requires to whom, to whom something is being recommended, and what is being recommended. Yes, so basically empfehlen is a dative verb, originally dative verb. Then there are some verbs which basically are hidden dative verbs. Let's find out. What do I mean? I help you. Yes, so it's basically who helps whom. That's the initial idea which people think, but that is wrong. Helfen basically means I give to you help, I help you. So the verb to help is basically helfen, and it basically means who gives to whom help. That's who gives to whom what. That is help itself, which is in the verb. So these are hidden dative verbs in which the what element is hidden in the verb itself. Who gives to whom what, or basically danken, which is to thank. Yes, who gives to whom thanks. Who gives to whom what is thanks, hidden in the verb danke, which means thank. Perfect. So these are hidden dative verbs. Yes, so these are all the types of verbs which we have learned thus far, beginning with the nominative verbs, going to the accusative verbs, accusative dative verbs, yes, pure dative verbs, and then hidden dative verbs. So I would like you to fill up the complete column with all the verbs we just learned in the previous lesson. Put them all in their respective columns. Nominative I have already done for you. You could fill up the accusative, accusative dative, dative, and hidden dative. Yes, so that you could do cross-check with the answer book. And this is the most important table you need to remember whenever you're looking at a German verb. Maybe it's a new verb which you haven't learned. The first question you need to ask yourself, what does the verb require? This is John Berlin signing off. See you in the next lesson.